And welcome back into another edition of Key Time Sports. It's Key Time coming back to talk about Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the OKC Thunder. And tonight's game, the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 1 between the New York Knicks and Indiana Pacers. Now, one thing I could say last night, Western Conference Finals, Minnesota, they came out and they pretty much, for the first 5, 10 minutes, well, excuse me, for the first 5 minutes of the game, they pretty much was playing at their pace, their style of pace. And then all of a sudden, the Thunder, they came out a little bit slow in the first quarter. But by the end of the second quarter, they started to turn up the intensity. And I'm going to just say by the start of the second half, it was basically all OKC because at halftime it was 48-44. So when you look at that, you see where the Timberwolves, they started gaining momentum, but they started losing it at the end of the first half. Now, the X factors that I said for Minnesota that would have to step up, they didn't step up last night. And as you could see, Julius Randle, he had a good night. He had 28 points. Jaden McDaniels had 7. Rudy Gobert had 2 points in 21 minutes. That is just awful. Mike Conley, 7 points. Anthony Edwards, 18 points. Bench production for the Timberwolves, Josh Minard, 0 points. Luke Garza, 0 points. Nas Reed, 4 points. Dante DiVincenzo, 9 points. Nickeil Alexander Walker, 8 points. Jaden Clark, 3 points. Terrence Shannon Jr., 2 points. Rob Dillingham, 0 points. Leonard Miller, Joe Ingles did not play. Timberwolves, one thing I got to say about them, this is game 1. But like I said, coming into game 1 last night, like I said yesterday morning, the X factors for the Timberwolves that I named, they need to make shots. Because Anthony Edwards, see this, Anthony Edwards was 5 of 13. He played 37 minutes and had 18 points. But in the fourth quarter, Anthony Edwards did not score. So the Thunder, like I said, they done had great defense throughout the entirety of the season. They took Anthony Edwards out the game scoring wise. They made him pass the ball, and even if he did get to the basket, he did not make those layups. They were contested layups. All of the shots that he took in the second half were contested, especially in the fourth quarter. So Timberwolves, they got the rebound. They got the rebound and try and win game 2, but I believe they missed a golden opportunity last night to win game 1 because 48 hours prior to last night, the Thunder, they played a hard 7-game series between the Denver Nuggets. They came out a little bit sluggish in the first half, and I said if Minnesota is going to get a game in OKC, try and get game 1. But they ended up losing, and last night, turnovers. They had turnovers galore. But before I get into the turnovers, let's talk about the OKC Thunder. Chet Holmgren, 15 points. Jalen Williams, 19 points. Isaiah Hartenstein, 12 points. Shea Gillis-Alexander, 31 points. Lou Dort, 5 points. Bench production, Dylan Jones, 3 points. Ozami Ding, 0 points. Kenrick Williams, 8 points. Alex Caruso, 9 points. Isaiah Joe, 7 points. Aaron Wiggins, 2 points. Kaysen Wallace, 3 points. A.J. Mitchell, 0 points. Jalen Williams, the second Jalen Williams, did not play last night because of coach's decision. And let me tell you, the intensity for the Thunder was on display in the second half last night. It was. And as far as efficiently, 50, 50% shooting from the floor all last night. 3-point line, 52% from the 3-point line. And free throws, 80% for the Thunder, 71% for the Timberwolves. Rebounds, total rebounds, +4 for the Thunder. Offensive rebounds, +3 for Minnesota. Defensive rebounds, +7 for the Thunder. Assists, +9 for the Thunder. 27-18. Steals, +8 for the Thunder. Blocks, +4 for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Turnovers. This is what I have been saying all throughout the entirety of this season, whether it's NBA, college basketball, college football, or NFL football. When you have turnovers, you're gonna lose. When you have a bad scheme, you're gonna lose. When you don't make adjustments, you are going to lose. So the Timberwolves, what they did not do, they did not make any kind of adjustments in the second half. Now Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he didn't have a signature game last night. In the first quarter, Isaiah Hartenstein was the Thunder leading scorer with 12 points. And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, since you have their starting center with them being the leading, with him being the leading scorer, I'm like, they don't neutralize Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but in the second half he started drawing fouls. There was six instances down the court where SGA got the ball, he got fouled. And like I've been saying, if the Timberwolves do not find a way to guard SGA without fouling, the series will be over. And just let me say, in the fast break department, fast break points, Timberwolves had 0, Thunder had 12. Points in the paint, Thunder had 54 points in the paint. Minnesota Timberwolves only had 20. The largest lead in this game for the Thunder was 26, and the largest lead for the Minnesota Timberwolves was 9. So, one thing I can say is, Minnesota, we all know what they have to do. OKC, we all know what they have to do. Now, OKC, since the playoffs have started, they haven't lost a home game. Timberwolves, since the playoffs have started, they haven't lost a playoff game at home. Something has got to give in this series, or else this is going 7. And I could see this series going to a 7 because both of these teams, they know how to protect their home floor. So this series is far from over, and it's going to a 7. Now, last thing I want to say for the Thunder is what they need to do is those X factors that I said that needs to increase their play. They have got to show up every game in this series because some nights SGA ain't gonna have it. Like last night, SGA, he was neutralized a little bit. But the OKC Thunder, they have everything going for them in this series. And let me tell you, the slight advantage last night was the bench. Now, Timberwolves bench didn't score that many points. The Thunder bench, pretty much took over the second half. That's what I can say. The defense for the Thunder is tenacious, and when they have a team on the ropes, they keep them on the ropes. That's what the Thunder did last night because the Timberwolves, they had the lead, and then in the third quarter, when the Thunder went up by 6, I was saying the tide has changed, and then what became a 9-point lead became a 15-point lead. Then what became a 15-point lead became a 26-point lead. So Minnesota, Rudy Gobert, he's got to give you better minutes, and plus Rudy Gobert in the pick and roll, he a terrible matchup. He's not a good matchup. So Timberwolves, they might have to put Rudy Gobert in for 5 minutes and then take him out. But if that's what they have to do, that's just what they have to do because SGA, SGA is gonna get his. Gonna get his 20 to 25 points every game. That's all. So and Anthony Edwards, we all know Anthony Edwards, he gonna come back game 2 and he gonna have a better fourth quarter than he did in game 1. So that's all I got to say for the Western Conference Finals game 1 between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the OKC Thunder. Now let me get to tonight's game between the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers. First, I'm gonna start out with the Pacers roster, give you their player statistics. Then I'm gonna start with the New York Knicks roster, and then I am going to give you my series prediction for this series. So now for the Pacers roster, you got Tony Bradley, Thomas Bryant, Ray J. Dennis, Eric Freeman, Johnny Furphy, Tyrese Halliburton, Isaiah Jackson, Quentin Jackson, James Jackson, Benedict Mathurin, TJ McConnell, Andrew Nabar, Aaron Naismith, Ben Shepherd, Pascal Siakam, Obi Toppin, Miles Turner, and Jarris Walker. Head coach is Rick Carlisle. Now, the Indiana Pacers, I've been saying their starting five is pretty much balanced. And you can see it just right here. Pascal Siakam, 18.8 points. Tyrese Halliburton, 17.5. Miles Turner, 16.5. Andrew Nabar, 14.6. Aaron Naismith, 14.6. Benedict Mathurin, 10.9. Then you have TJ McConnell, 8.6. Obi Toppin, 8.5. Ben Shepherd, 3.5. Jarris Walker, 2.8. Thomas Bryant, 2.7. James Johnson, 2.5. Tony Bradley and Johnny Furphy, 0.0 points. Now, this is for the playoffs here. This is for the playoffs. But Tony Bradley and Johnny Furphy didn't play much in the regular season anyway. But one thing I can say is that when the going gets tough for the Indiana Pacers in this series, and if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't have the type of game that we expect for him to have, who is going to step up? Because the New York Knicks are a good defensive team. If Tyrese Halliburton doesn't have it going, Pascal Siakam, he is going to have to step up. And if Pascal Siakam doesn't have it going, who else is going to step up? Because Miles Turner, he's a center. He can shoot threes from time to time, but you don't want Miles Turner to be shooting 4 threes every game in this series. So, like I said, the Pacers, they have a balanced starting five, but when it comes to the bench production, it's pretty much up and down. And so I'm skeptical of what the Pacers bench production can do from game to game. I am. So I'm between a rock and a hard place when it comes to this series. But one thing I can tell you that this is going to be a good series. So now what I'm going to do is shift on over to the New York Knicks roster. And I'm going to tell you who is all on their roster and to give everybody a refresher. Precious Achua, Ogiana Nobi, Marjon Beauchamp, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Pacome Didet, Josh Hart, Ariel Akaputi, Tyler Kolek, Miles McBride, Kevin McCullough, Cameron Payne, Mitchell Robinson, Landry Shamet, Karl Anthony Towns, PJ Tucker, Antoine Watson, Dion Wright, and head coach is Tom Thibodeau. Now everybody knows how Thibs Thibs likes to play his players. He pretty much, runs his starters into the ground, and he doesn't have much on the bench. He doesn't. So Jalen Brunson, 28.8 points. Karl Anthony Towns, 19.8. OG Anunoby, 15.8. Miles McBride, 15.4. Josh Hart, 13.2. Miles McBride, 5.9. Mitchell Robinson, 4.2. Precious Achua, 2.4. Cameron Payne, 2.0. Aaron Hakaporti, 2.0. Pacome Didet, 2.0. Landry Shamet, 0.4. Tyler Colette, 1.5. PJ Tucker, Dion Wright, 0.0. So we all know who is who when it comes to the New York Knicks and when it comes to the Indiana Pacers. Now I'm going to tell you all who I have as the X factors for both teams. Now, X factor I have for both teams, for the Indiana Pacers, X factor, Aaron Naismith. Benedict Mathurin, another X factor. And one thing I can say is Pascal Siakam. He is an X factor too. So those are the three X factors that I have for the Indiana Pacers, because we all know what Tyrese Halliburton is going to be. Now let me tell you, Tyrese Halliburton, he is not overrated. He is, and he is showcasing his talents to everybody throughout this entire playoff run, that he is not a flash in the pan or an overrated player. But outside of him, the X factors that I just said, they are gonna have to show up. They are gonna have to show up. And for the New York Knicks, X factor, Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, Miles McBride. I can tell you. The reason why I'm saying Miles McBride is because he is out there, he's strictly out there for defense, just like Josh Hart. But Josh Hart, if he gets his shot going, it might be game over for the Indiana Pacers. So Karl Anthony Towns, need him to have that type of series where he can put up 20 to 30 points each game. That's what you need, because you already know what you're going to get from Jalen Brunson. OG Anunoby, he has had shooting droughts over the past couple of games. We need him. New York Knicks fans, you want to see him get out of his shooting funk. Josh Hart, you know him. He going to be out there strictly for defense. Miles McBride, he is not going to give you much. Mitchell Robinson, he is not going to give you much. Precious Achua, he is not going to give you much. Cameron Payne. Now, Cameron Payne, he has had games in the playoffs over the past few years where he can give you 10 to 15 points here and there. Only thing that I have with New York is, are their X factors going to have big games consistently? Now, like I said, the story for this series is, we all know that the Indiana Pacers, it's been a minute. It has been a minute since they've been in the Eastern Conference Finals and had a chance to go to the finals. Last year, I'm not even gonna include that, because last year they was injury riddled. This year, make it all the way back to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now you have a top-notch offensive team in the Pacers and a top-notch defensive team in the New York Knicks. Advantage for the Indiana Pacers, they have a better bench than the New York Knicks. Advantage is Indiana, they have a better offense. Now, one thing that I can say is that this series, this series might go to limit too. Cause only way that this series is over in 4, maybe 5 games is if the players on one of these teams don't show up. That's all that is all that is all that it's going to be. So now one thing I can say is the one thing I can say is that the odds for tonight's game between the Pacers and New York Knicks, New York Knicks are a 4.5 point favorite, and the Pacers are favored to win this series. They are favored to win this series. And also, when it comes to the Minnesota Timberwolves, well, we already know that OKC is favored to win that series. But from a Minnesota Timberwolves standpoint, can they make the game respectable, look respectable? Because last night was a blowout. And I said during the Western Conference Finals that every game would be close unless a team turns the ball over more times than not. So that's what the Minnesota Timberwolves did. And it's the exact same thing for this series. For the New York Knicks, they can play good defense. They can. But you need somebody to make shots consistently. And with the New York Knicks, I am not sure if they are able to make shots consistently. Now, one thing I can say is that Indiana is no slouch when it comes to their bench production. The Knicks, outside of their starting five, where is their scoring going to come from? So if I had to make a bet on this, I would say, I got to go with the New York Knicks. I do, because one thing I know, that the Pacers, they're a good story and all that, but the better story, America, the better story is having the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals. That is the better story. And I'm not going to predict how many games that this series is going to take. Only thing I can say is the New York Knicks are going to win this series. Pacers, hey, another year, another year, you done knocked on the door, you done became runner up for the East. But the Knicks, it's just something about the New York Knicks. I think that Brunson is going to have a good game. Karl Anthony Towns is going to have a good game. And the X factors for the Knicks. Like I said, these X factors for the Knicks. Mikal Bridges, he gonna have to come up. We already know what Jalen Brunson is gonna give. OG Anunoby, another X factor. And also, now we already know that Josh Hart, he is a defensive player, but I'm going to say that he is an X factor too, because when he gets his shot going, it could be over with for Indiana. It could be. So I got the New York Knicks in this series. I know all you New York Knicks fans out there, y'all gonna say, what? Key time is on our side? Yes, but don't let me down. Now, y'all need to work on y'all bench. Y'all do. But everybody else now, you already got You already got you the favorite in this series. Pacers, they were lucky enough to get here. They were. And the Knicks, they were lucky enough to get here too. So the Knicks, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. The Knicks, let's say, in the next 5 to 10 years, I think the Knicks, they will have this is their best chance to win a championship because Boston still out there. Cleveland is still out there. Philadelphia is still out there. Toronto is coming back. Chicago is coming back. Miami is coming back. Atlanta is no slouch. Orlando is no slouch. You got basically the whole Eastern Conference coming right after the New York Knicks after this season is over with. So New York Knicks, don't mess around. We already know that it's been 50 plus years. I know y'all tired of hearing that. I know the New York Knicks fans are tired of hearing that. And I'm tired of saying it almost every show. I'm tired of saying it. So one thing, all four of these teams got something in common. Pacers, Timberwolves, Pacers, Timberwolves, Thunder never won a championship. Knicks, 52 years since they won a championship. Somebody, and I do mean somebody, they are going to make history. Who is it? We don't know. But all in all, I got New York Knicks winning this series. Come on now, New York Knicks. I haven't picked y'all to win a series all season, so come on and win this series. And with that, those are my reactions to last night's Western Conference Finals Game 1 between the Timberwolves and Thunder, and my prediction for the Eastern Conference Finals series between the New York Knicks and Indiana Pacers. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. We are also doing an expansion right here on YouTube, and we are doing an expansion on my other show, Key City Sports. Now, I'm not going to be doing anything on Key City Sports today, but tomorrow I will be. Tomorrow I will be doing something on Key City Sports. Now, one thing that y'all need to do is y'all need to just go ahead, hit that like, share, and subscribe button because there is a lot, and I do mean a lot of coverage that I'm going to be doing in the next few weeks because right now we got conference. Now we got NBA Finals coverage starting next month. Well, not starting next month, starting in 2 weeks. Then after that, we have NFL OTAs coverage and then training camp. So there is a lot that I'm going to unravel over these next 4, maybe 5 weeks. 6 weeks. And you do not want to miss any of it. So one last thing I want to tell everybody. Remember, the key is always on time.